Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Or where is this finding you? Are you a morning person or a night owl? What does your routine say about you? I've been getting up at 4:30 a.m. this week. I always felt aligned and alive by being up before the sun. But I know that that's not for everyone. But where is this finding you? Welcome to This Morning with Tiff Potter. Today is the 7th of May. A happy Thursday to you. We're cruising through chapter 2 of 2026. We've turned the page. I believe that May 1 was the turning of a chapter. But that's like an internal decision. So if you're not quite there yet, you just let me know when you're turning your page. Welcome to This Morning with Tiff Potter. This is a daily companion audio show, keeping you company while you do the things that make you feel human every day. Walking, working out, even though those are one and the same, driving. If you want a little company, press play. It comes out at 8 a.m. It's rooted in Cincinnati, but it's made for wherever you are, mentally, physically, and spiritually, okay? Things you want to know, need to know, might use later, topics of conversation you might have on a first date with your friend, on a first date, comma, with your friends, comma, or hopefully something to sit with you, maybe make you giggle and keep you company. We've got a few things to talk about. My absolute nightmare is unfolding in the middle of the ocean right now. And if you're a millennial, nostalgia runs so deeply through your veins. And it doesn't mean that Gen Z doesn't have nostalgia either. But there's one common thread, I think, connecting all of us right now because of something specific happening in the world. So we'll kind of get to those two things today. Before we go any further, what's going on in your world? First and foremost, I'm always checking in on you. I didn't pull up the comments from yesterday's episode or anything earlier this morning that might have given us something to say good morning to. Good morning to Robert Jones. And good morning to Caroline. She lives in Northern Kentucky. She was saying that she loved the conversation about leisure yesterday. Or was that Tuesday? Tuesday. We did that for Hot Topic Tuesday. Conversations about leisure. Leisure. What's your thoughts on leisure? Do you know how to execute leisure? What's the importance of leisure? Do you live to work or do you work to live? You can get caught up at any point whenever you're looking for a little bit more company today. That was earlier this week. What's top of mind? You know, there are a few things happening in my world that I'm in the process of developing that I'm keeping quiet at the moment only because I want to quiet the noise. And as someone with ADHD, also known as being neurodivergent, I have learned that the more I talk about things, the more my dopamine starts to run out on it. And then by the time it gets here, I don't want to do it anymore. So it's the things that are really important to me that I tend to stop talking about because then the dopamine runs out. I learned that through therapy. Isn't that interesting? Speaking of being neurodivergent, we had a damn near crash out yesterday. You know, something that I'm learning is the job market. As somebody that's typically gotten jobs through networking, I have not submitted many job applications in my life. The industry that I came from was a lot about who you know, right? Media, entertainment, things of that nature. When it comes to just job hunting and submitting resumes and cover letters, I am out in the middle of the ocean on that one, in the dark, waiting for the sharks to get me. And so I was applying for a job yesterday and I started crashing out because the website wouldn't accept my application. It had to have 5 megabytes of audio, less than 5 megabytes of audio, which if you're wondering is right around 2, 3, or 4 minutes, depending on the quality size. The resume itself had to be 5 megabytes or less. And I'm wondering who has more than a 1 or 2 megabyte resume? It had me overthinking. Then you fill it out. Then you create a password. Then you put your address. Then you put your phone number. And then that little wheel just keeps coming up and spinning and spinning and spinning. And so I resubmit. Try to connect the Google Drive. Try to connect the Dropbox. Try to connect this. Try to upload from the computer. I'm not kidding. I spent an hour and a half, almost 2 hours of my life that I will never get back trying to submit an application. And I cannot be alone in that. Amen. Hallelujah. Have you ever done it? I wanted to just call the market president or the operations manager and be like, look, Can we just have a quick 10-second phone call to get an energy check, a vibe check, and then I can just forward you off my audio? I cannot be the only one that's experienced that nightmare. And then I've learned with this type of brain that I have, you're either neurotypical or neurodivergent, and you might be somewhere in between. When something like that happens, it really is a domino effect. I burnt my eggs and overcooked them, had to recook them twice. Anything that was in my hands, I dropped it. I locked myself out, and I was an hour and a half late to meet my girlfriend for coffee yesterday. And then I spent the rest of the day like kind of in this haze and phase of like, where am I going? A fog. What's next? What do I do? And then on top of that, because I'm so freaking woo-woo, I'm asking, I said out loud, I said, universe, what do you want from me? I started overthinking. I said, well, what if I'm not supposed to apply for that job? What if this is a sign? Why is everything assigned to me? Is it? And I think it's just because of the way I live my life. If I don't know what I'm doing, I get curious and then follow the breadcrumbs. And I'm like, are these breadcrumbs? Are these stale and I shouldn't follow them? They need to be swept up. So we were on the verge of a crash out yesterday. And hence why I like to get up at 4:30 in the morning and allow my brain time to put the pieces of the puzzle together for the day. It really has me over thinking a lot of times of, okay, if I'm 36 years old and I decide that I want to have a child in the next, 5 or 6 years of my life, what would it be like to add one in? These are my fears. Am I going to be able to handle this? My boyfriend's the same thing. He's in construction. So everything about living with a blue-collar worker when you wake up in the morning is the recipe for a crash out. The alarm goes off. It's jarring. And the earliest hours of the morning, that does not bother me because I'm typically already starting to wake up anyways. But we never, and I'm, for my brain to function appropriately, I put things back in places. And he does not. So our keys are over here. Our wallet is over here. Our Zins are over there. Our flashlight's over here. Our knife is in the bathroom. Then we got to make the coffee and the lunchbox. It's crash out central getting him out the door. So I guess it's a little bit of like what it would be if I were to get a child out the door for school or something in the mornings, or we would rather, not myself. That's a teamwork thing. But then he came back to me later this morning. He said, I'm so sorry, I was tweaking. And I really understood. I see him on it, though. I really see my partner on that because I, too, have that same brain. It's defeating. So if anything I said you can relate to, just know that I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking of you. Cut yourself some slack. Give yourself a little bit of grace. A little bit of grace. A little bit of slack. A little bit of permission. Okay, you're a human. Welcome to being a human. It's your first time on Earth, isn't it? I guess that you know of. That's what my friend Allie said yesterday. We were talking about some relationship stuff. I said, girl, give yourself a little bit of a break and a little bit of a permission to chill. This is your first time on planet Earth. This is your first time being a human. And she said, that I know of. All right, let's talk about your biggest fear, your worst nightmare. I forgot to ask you that ahead of time, so I didn't really give you much of time to think on it. But what is your hypothetical worst nightmare? Comment below. Or leave me a voice note. It has been a week since I've received my last voice note from our This Morning community. At the Tiff 2Fs Potter like the wizard. I'm curious. Because mine is floating at sea right now. Do you remember the Diamond Princess? Going on a cruise ship and having it abandoned in the ocean for weeks at a time? Or, I'm sorry, not abandoned, but have it, like, stranded is the word I'm looking for. Stranded in the ocean for any amount of time is my worst nightmare. Who in our community is going on a cruise willingly? Who are you? What's up? Tell me your name. Tell me why. Because I'm not going. I'm not doing it. My girlfriend Lexi has gone on like more cruises than you can put on your fingers. You can count with your hands. She loves them. It could not be me. May a cruise never find me. I was supposed to go on one when I was a little girl, when I was like 7 or 8 years old with my Nana. She was supposed to take me on the Disney cruise. She ended up dying before we went on the cruise. It never happened. And I have never gotten over it since. So at this moment, there's a cruise ship abandoned in the ocean because of a hantavirus outbreak. On board, 3 people have died, 8 others are sick, and 3 have been evacuated by a medical flight. Those that are still on the ship are quarantined, stuck in these little cabins. It all happened because a couple was bird watching in Argentina before getting on the boat. If you're not, then the cruise is supposedly docking in a few days in the Canary Islands, although Spain is like, don't bring them here. Don't do that. If you're wondering what hantavirus is, it's a respiratory illness typically carried by rodents. And if you were like, why does it kind of sound familiar? Gene Hackman's wife died from it last year. Remember we talked about this? It's supposedly a very rare thing. Well, how did it find its way on a cruise ship? And now these passengers are stranded out there. Do you also remember the Diamond Princess cruise? If there isn't a documentary on it now, there has to be one at some point. The Diamond Princess was stranded out in the ocean at the beginning of COVID, but I don't remember for how long. Wow. I'm reading the article at the same time. I'm just pulling it up now. There were 712 confirmed cases among passengers and crew, around half whom were asymptomatic at the time of testing. I forgot how long they were out there. Let me Google that. Anyways, I remember, of course, we were all inside watching TV. It's the only thing we did. And I remember seeing this on the news and being like, couldn't be me. Could not be me. The Diamond Princess cruise ship was officially quarantined in Japan for 14 days, beginning February 5th, scheduled to end on the 19th. There were 3,000 passengers on board. 700 plus of them ended up getting infected. Whoo! They stayed on there for weeks. And it's happening again because whatever this rodent hantavirus is. It is a fear of mine. What is it? I think actually boats in general, unless I'm doing like just an out and back real quick for an afternoon on East Fork Lake, I'm a little skeptical about getting out on the boat, which is interesting because I'm such a big water person. I love being on the beach. But I'm a land beach person. I like to sit in sand. I love to swim in the ocean. I think the ocean has healing properties. If you don't know what's going on in your world and you're going through something, find your way to a beach. May the ocean find its way to you. But not via cruise ship. I think it's just the thought of being trapped in a very small place with limited resources and you have no control over it. It's like prison. You know, if you were trapped in a city because your flight couldn't take off, well, you've got 2 legs. You can walk somewhere, you can get food, there's ways to entertain yourself. But if you're on a boat in the middle of nowhere, you are at the mercy of whatever the captain and crew do and how they execute. And you're at the mercy of whatever port city decides to let you in or not. I'm all set. I'm jumping overboard and I'm swimming to wherever. I'm calling someone. It's like Alexis from Schitt's Creek. Do you remember the beginning part of the show? Do you ever see the series? Where she's calling Stavros and she's like, come get me. Come pick me up on your private plane. And he's supposed to come get her. He never does, of course. Never comes to rescue her. And her brother is like, you can't leave us here. I'm sorry, I'd be leaving. Whoever can fit on the plane. So what is your worst fear? What are you scared of? You'll have to let me know. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe you're with me on the cruise ship. The other headline I saw this morning that made me think of you is nostalgia. You know, millennials probably have the most nostalgic lives. And, you know, maybe my dad does. Maybe the boomers do as well when they hear Bye, bye, Miss American Pie on the radio. You know what? I can imagine it brings my dad back to the trucking era. Brings him back when there was no technology, when the economy was good. You know, of course they too have nostalgia, but there's something about millennial nostalgia. And that's why the man bands are doing so well right now. The Backstreet Boys, Jonas Brothers, Boys to Men, New Edition, they're all back out on tour and they're selling out. These residencies are selling out. It's because millennials are now old enough and are shaping the economy that we have the money and we don't need the permission. So we're like, hell yeah, I'll go see the Backstreet Boys in Vegas at the Sphere. My girlfriend Sarah spent probably thousands of dollars on her trip to Vegas last year for that. We've got the authority, we've got the money, and we don't need the green light. We can just green light our own childhoods. Gen Z also does feel nostalgic. I can't quite figure out what they're nostalgic about. If you have a Gen Z in your life, ask them. Please report back to me. But the reason why nostalgia, no matter what your nostalgia is for, connects us all right now, speaking of the pandemic, although that was 6 years ago, is because when times are uncertain, we tend to revert back to the days that we loved, that we know, that felt familiar, and we glorify them. We relive them. And with gas prices more than 50% at what they were 2 months ago in this K-shaped economy, which means the rich have no problem paying for the gas, but the poor are even more worse off. We're like, yeah, I want it that way. I want it a different way. So what are you nostalgic about? Is it music? Is it fashion? Lately, nostalgic snacks have been making their way into my cabinets as well. I am such a big cosmic brownie person. We can maybe talk about that on our Friday episode tomorrow. If you walk into a gas station, you walk into a Walgreens or a CVS, what are you picking up as your snack? Cosmic brownies. What up, little Debbie? That's one of my top choices. I also love double stuffed Oreos. And I'm going to leave you on this note. I don't know it will change your opinion of me, but I have no problem dunking my Oreos into water. In fact, I think it tastes better. Okay. I know that makes me a serial killer. I don't care. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping by. It's so good to see you. Go forth. Go forth with your day. Thank you for inviting me into your life and to the places that you love. I stop by a lot of places, just like you stop by my show. And I will see you right back here tomorrow. If anything I said made you giggle, send it off to a friend. We'd love to have them in the community.